All right, we move on to 9:08 p.m. Eastern. Dodgers, Padres, NLDS Game 3. Dodgers lead the series 2-0. Globe Life Field in Texas, and that was a spectacular baseball game. It had everything. And you just wish there was, 50,000 screaming fans there as well. It was, I can't imagine anything more enjoyable than these two teams going at it. And how about going at it on a bullpen day? We're going to have the 21-year-old Cuban, Adrian Morejon, opening, and 25 Ks, 4 walks, 19 in the third. Young enough and bullish enough to not get uncomfortable. Maybe it helps if there's nobody in the stands. Dodgers versus lefties, 257.78 OPS. They've improved. There was a big lull against lefties in the middle of the year, but then they started smashing lefties. Roberts has not decided who he's going to go with, and he's got some spectacular options. I mean, this isn't like Jace Tingler looking down at his group. He's got Gonsolin or Urias, depending on what he wants to do here. He's in a pretty nice spot. Lots of things to break down in here. And let's start with what your feel is. Dodgers, Padres. We have no market at this point. Do you have an early lean? Do the Dodgers sweep?
I mean, it's a tough to say that they're going to sweep the San Diego Padres, especially because of the way they responded yesterday. Machado hits that big home run, kind of gets them going a little bit, and then they're able to get a Kenley Jansen. And it just showed a lot of life. That's the type of ball club this is. They're not going to go down without a fight. So it's hard to say they're going to sweep because it's very difficult to beat a team twice, let alone 3 times in a row. But it's a tall task for the youngster to come in here, just 21 years old. He is their number 7th prospect, and he is a starting pitcher by nature. They have been using him out of the bullpen, but more of a starter. They'll be using him later in his career. And I mean, you look at some of his numbers: 4.66 ERA. The guy's been decent. Nothing too great about him. But like you said, it's a bullpen day. And will I continue to trust this Padres bullpen? I haven't trusted it at all. Like you said, we got beat on it that one day, and I'll take my chances going against them time in and time out. And for the Dodgers, no other starter that I'm really looking at other than Tony Gonsolin. That was the guy that I expected him to go in the last time. And then the fact that I saw Dustin May come out of the bullpen, those are the two guys that I believe that they were looking at. And whoever I saw come out of the bullpen, the other guy would start game 3, in my opinion. And that's what we have here. And Gonsolin, that guy's been really good this year. 2.31 ERA, 0.84 WHIP. He did get touched up a little bit in his last start against the Angels, gave up 4 runs, but the most he had given up, that's the most runs he'd given up all season. I like the way the kid looks. He got a great presence. He's real scrappy on the mound, and I think he can pitch well here, keep the Dodgers in the game. Maybe a look in the Dodgers the first 5, but I gotta think the Dodgers are juiced. They'll be heavily juiced.
What do you think of this Dodgers bullpen that has looked very vulnerable all of a sudden? They have a 1.29 ERA, 0.86 WHIP in the playoffs. They were great during the regular season, 2.74 ERA, 1.04 WHIP. But after watching last night, you have to think the Padres want to get to that back end. Neither Kenley Jansen or Joe Kelly looked. I think they both looked vulnerable. So, what is your expectation of this bullpen?
I mean, I like the bullpen. There's still a few guys that haven't gone yet, and Gatterall is the big thing. Especially seeing what transpired yesterday with Kenley Jansen. Kenley Jansen has been a liability for a large part of the season going down the stretch, but then he goes straight on runs. Because at the end of the season, after he had blown a few games in a row, he goes 6 outings with 0 earned runs. That's the type of runs he goes on, and that's why he doesn't get demoted. But here in crunch time, he's shown it that in tough situations, he does give it up. It's really been him that's given it up so far. The Dodgers held the Padres just one run the first game, and I understand Joe Kelly. He walks the first two batters. The the command issue can be an issue. The command for him at times, but a couple of those pitches were really close. So I don't think there's a huge concern for the Dodgers bullpen because they are fresh. You're getting a lot of innings out of guys, especially Dustin May coming in eating up those innings was a big factor, especially here. Now you're in the third game, especially if it gets extended to the next game. It's a tough spot for these ball clubs to be in.
So we saw the market yesterday with Kershaw on the mound. And I would like to say it opened at minus 210 and went up to minus 235. I'm not sure. Let me see if I can verify that here. It certainly ended between minus 225, minus 235. It opened between minus 200, minus 210. So that's Kershaw Davies. So Gonsolin versus a bullpen day. What's your guess? Dodgers full game here.
I mean, in my opinion, it should be even closer around that range, but I believe you'll probably get like 170. Probably Dodgers minus 170 around that range. Gosselin hasn't been a huge favorite in his last few starts, and coming off a rough start, he hasn't pitched in a little while.
In Turmoil, I am odds in the chat, so Turmoil asking about unit size, and I wish my unit size was higher, and I guess that's the goal of every capper. And I had a nice jump in my unit size about 3 years ago, when I went down south to Costa Rica. Nice jump, and there hasn't been one in a long time, and it's irritating. Alrighty, so from a total perspective, I'm guessing this is at a 8.5 juice to the over. What's your guess? Full game total.
Yeah, I think that's reasonable considering. I mean, what did it open at yesterday? I didn't even get the chance to see what it opened at yesterday.
Let me check that out. I'm still up here. Okay, why don't we go right here? Yesterday, and the Dodgers was minus 210 to minus 225. Yesterday, it opened at 8.5 and closed at 8. Let me see if that's fair. Yeah, that's all books. Some went 8.5, 8, 8.5, 8, but that was the situation. What do you think here?
Yeah, I mean, I see 8.5 juice to the over is kind of how it opened, and I expect it to be something similar. I mean, I believe you got a lot of action to the under, especially a reaction to what transpired in the first game, where a lot of balls were coming up short. They changed out those balls and brought in the over balls now, and but 8.5. I mean, I don't know. Total's tough right now because I just expect the bullpen to give it up for San Diego. And the one thing that is scary is these San Diego bats, and I don't expect them to go away. I didn't really think that Gatterall did all that much throwing his glove, but I don't like anything that riles up a team that's down. So just the fact that he did anything, I don't really like it, but I guess that's all part of the game now. He did nothing different than what Machado did when he hit a home run and threw the bat in the same manner. But I mean, I'm old school, not really a fan of that because I don't like kicking a sleeping dog, and that's my one fear with San Diego's bats. So I mean, I just think that these totals are going to keep climbing. You're going to continue to see overs in a lot of these games, especially later into the series. So I would lean over.
Yeah, I didn't like it either. I had no problem with it, but I'm exactly the same way that you broke it down. You did that perfectly. All right, JL took Padres money line live. Yeah, I guess there's going to be just no move at this point for the Dodgers game for me.